Hello, welcome back to City Planner Plays, where we are building the city of Verde Beach. And they say distance makes the heart grow fonder, and for me, that is absolutely true. It's been a little while since I've been in Verde Beach, and I miss it. So I'm happy to be back. And what we are looking at right now is a neighborhood in the downtown area. In fact, this is Foggy Square, and the reason why we're looking at it is this is the most valuable neighborhood in all of Verde Beach, at 91 cells per square meter. So this is a very small neighborhood, but it's very dense, and it's very valuable because of a number of things it has going for it. And I think it's good to take a look at this as we try to beat this neighborhood in Karen Sterling's neighborhood. So the reason why this is so valuable, first of all, you can see that there's proximity to some of these unique buildings in the Verde Beach Government Center. So that's right there. We've got a street crossing, which will extend some of that value over. We've got, let's take a look at our parks. Look at that density of parks. So the neighborhood boundaries are right here. And you can see that inside of this little neighborhood, we have 5 parks. So little tiny neighborhood, 5 parks. And then when we take a look at something we don't have over in Sterling Heights, transit. So they have a subway stop, monorail, and interestingly, a biofuel bus depot, and that's not hurting the land values because of the number of parks and other amenities. The other thing we have is fully leveled up or close to fully leveled up buildings everywhere through here. Oh, it can't go up all the way because we have a high-rise ban. So if we had that, all of these buildings would be level 5. So these are really maxed out. All of the needs for the buildings are met. So you can see that when we're clicking on some of these commercial buildings, we at least have highly educated workers. So this neighborhood is really well situated in that way. You can also take a look at things like noise. It has noise. It's still okay though. And that is because this noise is providing a benefit. When we look at our zoning, that's our commercial along there. So it's not harmed by that. Pollution, none to speak of. It's just a really well laid out and situated neighborhood. And that's what we need to do over in Sterling Estates, rather, as much as we can. So it's certainly going to be more challenging over here. And one of the reasons it's going to be more challenging is simply that it's sprawling. And to make this work is just, it's going to be a bit of a trick. So it's just a more challenging situation over here in this neighborhood. And one of the main reasons for that, like I said, is the sprawl. So when we take a look at our land values, you can see that they're starting to even out, but we've got a couple of issues. We've got at least one mulligan to call. This didn't do exactly what I was hoping for it to do. I was hoping that this would raise the land values in this area. In fact, it's actually driven them down. So what we're going to do is potentially relocate this along the highway. Actually, I'm going to go back on that. It's fine. We will work around this, and we're going to find other ways to increase the land value. And I think the number one thing is transportation. So right now we have one train station, and this is very helpful. And I'm curious to see what this is doing to the land values over here. Nothing good, but it's still there. So what we're going to do is try to leverage that. We're going to build in some public transportation here, or what they will call shuttles and, scenic trolleys and things of that nature, because they don't want it to be thought of as public transportation in a private neighborhood. So before we get to that, I want to fix one thing. So this bridge right here is bi-directional, and we have this kind of being a collector couplet. I don't really think the collector couplet is necessarily important. So what we're going to do is make this bi-directional all the way through. We're going to add trees ringing this. It'll give it kind of a festive atmosphere. There we go. So that's going to help out. So this is a collector, so it's okay that this is occurring. Not a huge deal. We do want to control the traffic here, though. So we will add that stop sign. We have a stop sign there, and I do think we still want to prioritize this. So I'm just going around to make sure that we have stop signs still, and we do. We are fine. When we take a look at our traffic on this road, this is a really important road still, so it's going to be heavy. It's a local road that's functioning like a collector. Wow, we've got some backup. I don't love this. And I'm wondering if there's anything I can do to fix this. That might be what I can do to fix this. So what I've done is I've added the ability to queue in either direction so you don't get stuck if someone's turning left. This is a really bad spot, truthfully, to allow lefts, and this would probably be restricted. There's not really a good way for me to do this. And I have a stop sign here, and people are still pulling out in front of traffic because that's a smart thing to do. And what this area is really screaming for is a roadway connection through. Ooh. We're going to use a bit of eminent domain. They decided to build on our trail. That's not happening. This area is really just screaming for another connection through here, and we didn't give it to them. So this is, basically one big circle here with some pedestrian connections through. It's not a good layout. Here we are again. And that funnels all the traffic. It funnels all of it. There's no way to leave. You're just kind of forced to come down here. And if you wanted to come out in a different place, you have to come all the way around here. No one's going to do that. They're going to sit and queue in this traffic and be upset that it was designed this way. So we might fix that in the future, but for the time being, we're gonna allow that to exist. The fix is probably a road connection right here. That would probably solve it all. Anyway, back to the meat and potatoes of what we're doing. The very first thing I want to do is add in a bus facility. So I don't want them to be drawing their buses from the other side of Verde Beach, which is what I think is going to happen. So if we were to just add in a bus route here, I'm trying to figure out where my nearest terminal is. I don't have one over here, I believe. Somewhere over here. It's a long ways away. So we need to develop one closer to this area. And, being the entrepreneurial person that she is, Miss Myrtle is going to develop that needed city infrastructure over here. Maggie is very utilitarian. She looks at this and she says, you need to develop a bus terminal? Yeah, we can do that. Or a bus, a biofuel bus depot? We can do that. So she's going to add this right here. And this is a nice location because they'll be able to hop directly on the freeway, come down and serve this area. So what we're going to do is have 2 loops, and they're going to call this their local shuttle to get to this area right here and to loop around this industrial or this office park. So why don't we start it right here in front of the train station? And you got to remember, because of the design of this, we're going to have to come through this area. So we're going to keep it on the collectors. So that's the larger roads. And we're going to make fairly frequent stops. And at the end, we're going to need to go through our route to see if we can get this closer to pedestrian connections, because that's going to be one of the really important things here. The other thing we're going to struggle with a bit is the connectivity in this area. So thankfully we added this connection here. Otherwise, we're going to be out of luck. And now I even notice we're off the collector network, and that's just going to kind of be how it is. We're going to do something with that collector network, but it's going to take a moment. So I would imagine this route having a number of stops, many of which aren't actually utilized in any significant way. So they get passed on, and I would imagine that when the scheduling comes around, they're planning on not all of these stops getting passengers. And this is a really challenging route to design because the neighborhood layout doesn't really facilitate a good bus route. And that's something you often see in suburban areas where, folks will want a bus in the suburban area, and it's a real challenge. I'm thinking I might actually use a little bit of eminent domain. I didn't want to, but I think it would be very helpful to have a bus station here. So we certainly aren't going to use eminent domain on any of the houses, and I'm sure that these folks are very upset. We're going to need to buffer that well. But this is going to be helpful with our route design, because rather than just dropping them off right in front of this this train station right here. Now we can go into this facility. So that's helpful. Now I really wish that they weren't looping around. I don't know if there's a way that I could prevent that. It doesn't appear to be that way. So we're just going to have to live with a little bit of oddness. I'm not sure exactly what that is. Let me see. I wonder if I were to use a bi-directional road, if that would help. Nope. So no need to do that. Okay, so we're going to need a couple of routes to blanket this area, and then we'll name them at the end. So this is one of our routes. We're going to have another route that comes around here, and then another one that gets around the top end, and then another one, yet still, in Sterling Heights Office Park. And these are not going to be convenient routes, but these are going to be fancy buses. We're going to imagine that these buses have Wi-Fi, and they really cater to people who want to maximize their time. And we'll have a stop right near our little golfing area. And then we'll pull this up and bring this through again. Now again, because these are circulators, I'm not overly concerned with the routes having, parallel pickup and drop-off locations. I will certainly add them from time to time. What I'm really interested in is maximizing the area that we're covering. And you can kind of see that here, we're maximizing our area that we're covering. So one more route, and I might actually pare this one back. I kind of went a bit further than I meant to. And we can maximize our coverage in this area instead. I'm just separating those stops a bit. This is a very tricky area. I mean, you can see the bus is doing some things. This would be a very slow route. But it's a circulator, and they're going to be surfing the internet and getting work done on the bus, so they're not going to be overly concerned. Spread out some of these bus bays. Okay, next, we're going to come. Do I really want to add more traffic to this area? Probably not, but we're going to have to. So what I think we're going to do is circulate through here, and I don't want to jam this up any more than it already is. So we will send this through this way. And look at some of the crazy movements that we have to make. So this is the real challenge of this type of roadway network, and it's repeatedly rearing its ugly head. But we're making the best with the situation that we've been given, and hopefully at least creating something that's useful. That is a very convoluted route, and I'm getting a little confused with all these colors, so I think that we are going to need to take a look at some of these and get them named. So this right here, oh, interesting. So this is actually an old route. So that's Pyrotechnic Old Verde Beach. This right here is going to be, say that this is the southwest circulator. Shuttle. We want it to be a shuttle. We want this to feel exclusive. This one, first of all, we should change these line colors. So we've got a whole bunch of blue lines. So the Pyrotechnic needs to have a red. Sterling Estates, let's do a yellow here. Then we'll do an orange. And a pinkish fuchsia. All right, so this line, so yeah, the yellow line is that bigger, it's actually really the southern. We'll make it the south shuttle. And then we have this orange one, which is kind of the central. It's really getting tough to see with all this here. So this is the orange line is kind of the central, and then the pink line is the northern. Okay. So I just want to make sure that my routes are doing things that make sense. I think it's fine. These aren't good routes. I think it's making the best of a bad situation. in this particular area. And then there are a couple of other things that we should probably connect to. Since we have this, we're going to want that circulator through this office park. So we'll make that the Sterling Heights Office Park shuttle. We've got a lot of routes now, so it's certainly fun to keep them all straight. And we probably should... Ooh, missing water. Water pipes not underneath the road where they belong. How dare I? But I think we've got that fixed. So that's actually our police and fire coverage, so that's pretty important. Okay, so the next thing I want to take a look at is a route actually to that area. Because we want students to be able to get to school. So we'll make that the Sterling Tech Line. And let's make this a bright blue. And now that we have all of these Sterling routes with Sterling in the title, we can see not many people are using these. That will hopefully improve with time. The last thing I want to do is actually one big route that I've been missing out on. This will kind of be that leisure route for everyone in here. Actually, no, not a leisure route. It'll be a route that gets people to the nearest subway terminal and connects the pyrotechnic all the way up here. So it does a lot. I wouldn't say that the primary thing it's serving is necessarily Sterling Estates, but it is stopping here. Okay, so we have a lot of bus things happening now. We've added a significant number of routes, and I'm curious if this has changed our land values at all. I believe that we were about this last time. If we speed things up a little bit, it might help. So transit helps increase that desirability of these buildings. Now, one of the things that's interesting is we really don't have any on the main drag. So we've added, and you can see the little green arrows coming up along here every now and then, and that is because of the proximity to transit in this area. We can go further, and further we will go. So what I'm thinking is, it would also be very nice to get a tram going up and down this main drag. So this is going to be an interesting little service. It's not going to do a lot, and it's really there to, I guess, give the facade of an old-timey trolley. So we are going to need to use some eminent domain, most likely because we're all built out. But I think we're going to go for it because this is what Karen wants. So we're gonna listen to Karen. So there really aren't a lot of great locations for this anymore. The only thing that we could really do is kind of sneak it in on the outside and run it through a bunch of neighborhoods, or use a bunch of eminent domain down here and try to work it through. And I think that's what we're gonna do, is just add a connection here and then sneak it up here. So the likelihood of this happening in reality is slim to none. This would have been planned up front. Oh, and look at that. Use that eminent domain only to find out that I can't actually even place it there. It's not wide enough. Well, I am very sorry to everyone in this area. I ruined the neighborhood for no apparent reason. just going through and destroying things. All right, we'll move up here and give it another honest try again. And I think this is probably the one place we can get it. We're going to need to straighten out that road. Once again, kidding, destroying everything for no reason. So this is not going to help our land values. I think we really need to give this some thought, because if we want to fit this in, it's going to be a challenge. And there aren't many good places. Truthfully, I wish I would have come over here to start out with. This is probably the best location. There's a bunch of space right here. But again, this is hilly. Maybe right here. I think we're going to go for it right here. At least we can place it. And let's see if there's anything that we can do Yeah, we're going to need to use some significant landscaping to make this work. At least it's near city buildings, so it's not the most insane thing to imagine this being here. And then we can run this past some of these city services too, so that is one benefit of this location. So what we're going to do is we're going to run this down, and we need to find a turnaround over here. And that's going to probably be the number one trick, is finding that turnaround. Yeah, there's not really a good location for this. So we're going to need to create one. So we're going to be the tormentors of this neighborhood once again. And now I hope that this makes you go, wait, all of that for this? Yes, we are not having a very big trolley system. This is not meant to be efficient. It is meant to exist. So it's one of those really unfortunate systems where you just kind of wonder why they would make such a significant investment only to have it not really do anything. But it happens. There we go. And this thing's going to kind of just ping up and down this road and allow people to access this area. So I think it's something. it's certainly not the most wonderful thing to have here, but it's really about raising land values and ensuring that we have plenty of transit availability, even if it's bad transit. Now I'm going through and backing this off a bit. We've already used a significant amount of eminent domain. What's a little bit more? So we're going to eliminate these buildings and add a significant landscape buffer around here. And that does a great job at the top, but at the bottom we're not doing so well. So we're going to add some low landscaping too. That's something to think about with landscaping is, you know, what looks good from an aerial might not look great from the ground. So now we have really a wall of foliage protecting the residents from this terrible transit. So now they can rest assured, except for these folks, they're gonna stare at this and be unhappy, most likely. Although their building's totally leveled up, so maybe they're not so sad. Okay, so this is gonna just kind of wind through here. Just kind of curious, how are we looking at our ridership? Our traffic flow's up. That's a curious thing. Whoa. That is horrible. So we are going to need to control this in some way, and it actually might involve putting in dedicated transit lanes. That was not at all what I was expecting to happen. So because there's so much transit service here, we are going to go ahead and upgrade this to be a transit road. And here, we're going to have an arterial. So this should relieve a lot of the pressure that we were seeing here. Unfortunately, it takes away that premium pedestrian facility, but it's for the sake of transit. So there's a movement in here. We're going to need to fix that. We've got this signal here. Again, we might prioritize the movements that we care about the most. And I would imagine that this would have transit signal priority or something in that line anyway. So we'll simulate that by having some kind of, we'll call them unique signalizations of this area. I'm curious, what are these buses doing when they come down here? It's the R&D looping around. That stinks. I do not like that at all. And the other thing we need to look at is the number of buses that we have on these. Wow, people just streaming out of here. So yeah, they put 70. The Sterling Pyrotechnic route has 77 buses. We'll take that down to 4 for the time being. We don't need 77. I mean, that's adorable. It's a long route. I get it. This is really a long haul route. Maybe we'll kick it up a little higher. Maybe 10. It is 45 kilometers, but 70 is a little much. So that makes me think we really should look at our other routes too. 14. Whoa. 400 and 41 people waiting at the stop. Now, I can't tell if that's because we had our 70 semi-buses or if this just needs more capacity. And what that really tells us is that there is a demand for transit and we're not fulfilling it. So truthfully, we'd probably throw an articulated bus on there in reality. I think the game is desperately begging for a subway. I don't know that we're going to go there. That's not reasonable in this area. So the other thing, I think I want to get buses out of here quickly. So I'm going to add in 2 lanes to leave. And then we'll have 2 lanes in the opposite direction so you could get into here if you needed to. Oh, we have buses turning around. Oh, the turn lane, dedicated turn lane. That would do that. So never mind. We will keep that going this way. And that should help out quite a bit. This is a very busy road because of all the buses coming down here, all the people walking. There's a lot going on here. So let's look at the rest of our lines. This one, 9 buses. This is just the one that pings back and forth to Sterling Tech. So I think we could take this down to 2 buses. This one right here is the central shuttle again. Monster queuing. So this one, we might need to keep an eye on these and see what happens after all these buses clear out. I mean, this is just a really extreme number of people coming back here. And we might need to crank the buses on these. We might need to do what I didn't want to do, which is cheese it with a metro line. But that's kind of what the game is crying for right now. We're bleeding money. Bleeding money. That is not good. I'm wondering what is causing that. Oh, we've got a lot of transit. So transit, policies, education. We are making a profit on our industries. We could certainly crank that up. Education, we have no profit coming from our education. That's due to our policies. And in here, I think we have free public transit. Whoops. So we are increasing our land value. We might just want to turn that off here. They don't want to encourage people to get on the bus. They just want to make it a possibility. Because this is private, they're not going to give it away. So something to keep in mind here. We should just take a look at the rest of our policies just so we are aware of what's going on here. And I think that we're in a pretty good spot here. I think we're gonna leave this. Our land values are going up. We're not quite where I was hoping to get this area. So we're gonna need to keep cranking. This is just, it's too much. It's just too much. My computer even hates this. I'm getting some frame rate drops because of the number of pedestrians in this area. So I'm just increasing some of these a little bit. So even with 10, the pyrotechnic route is over full, so we will increase that. We'll go 16. Hopefully that is able to clear that queue. So adding this has doubled the number of passengers that we're seeing coming from the trains. So that's one of the issues here. So there's a lot going on. So if we want to raise the land values and keep things moving, we might need to take a look and see if there are any other small parks that we can add in here. See if there are any spaces. There aren't really many. Truthfully, we just might be in a situation where we're doing things around the edges. Sound is one issue. You can see that there are areas now that have significant sound pollution issues. So we are going to want to upgrade some of our roads to resolve some of that. And truthfully, I might just kind of go through here and upgrade most of the collectors to have trees, assuming that Karen wants a fancy neighborhood. Now, the unfortunate thing is it's taken out some of my zoning. It's always the bad part about upgrading these is that happens from time to time. And then on a number of our local streets, we're going to do this as well. And apparently demolish every home in the neighborhood. This is where anarchy would really be nice, because we would be able to upgrade these roads without demolishing the entire neighborhood. Apparently that extra foot of right-of-way is all that is needed to totally destroy the neighborhood. So, sorry everyone. Sorry we're taking your house just to upgrade the roads just a bit. We're going to plant street trees and destroy your house. And I really want to do this where it makes the most sense. So I'm turning on the sound. And now I can come through here and really focus on the areas most impacted by some of the issues that we have here with sound. You can see as I'm going through, we've got volumes improving or noise pollution improving. Okay, so I think we've taken care of most of the worst offenders. Whoa, that is brutal. That is terrible. We're gonna, I can't leave that. If I see that kind of jankiness, I've got to fix it. And the way that we're gonna fix that is with upgrading this to a park path that will level the building and the path. So that at least looks a little bit better. Okay, so lots of destruction in eminent domain. I apologize for that. And I apologize to all of these citizens who have lost their homes. I know it's been a day for the residents of Sterling Estates. I'm sure that they are thrilled to have transit service all over the place, and I'm sure that they are absolutely thrilled to see that their homes have been destroyed by a madman going around and upgrading the roads with street trees. All right. So the other thing that we could take a look at, Sterling Lake Park. We have enough entertainment. It's visitors. We're actually about to level up there. So why don't we just crank this for a moment and see what happens and focus on a bit of landscaping. We're just going to fill in some of these areas that have been neglected. We'll say it's neglected. I think this looks a lot better. We've certainly got a couple of oddities in here, and we could fill those in and get really, really nice with it. And the main goal is that you're driving down here and you don't get to look up into their houses. You get to look at that tree. So that's the primary goal here, and to light things up a bit every now and then. And it looks like we're getting there. We're making that happen. Okay, and Karen really has spent about $1 million an acre on landscaping. So it's we're looking at a very well landscaped little area. So we're just gonna throw in a couple more trees just to ensure that we've got the privacy that Karen really is seeking in this area. Okay, so we have really done a great job of landscaping. So I think that we really should probably take a look and see how this looks at the ground level. Okay, so this area is looking really good now, and we were able to see that, it feels very secluded. So what now? A couple more things we want to take a look at. This bridge right here is something that some folks recommended upgrading. I think I'm going to leave it. I kind of like the contrast between the two of these. But one of the suggestions that I did see that I did want to implement here, and one that Karen has heard too, is that this is just too boring. What it really needs is a waterfall. It's too sloping. It could be better. So she is going to take their advice. She is sending the crews back out there, and they are going to make a bit of a waterfall. We need soil anyway, so this is one way to accomplish that, I suppose. That's not very extreme. I think we could go better. Go bigger, rather, not better. Maybe it's better because it's bigger? Everyone likes a good waterfall. I think that's a rule in life. And now we have 2. And that is pretty spectacular now. So you're on the bridge, you could see this here. Water coming along either side. Narrows up, widens up, comes around here. We could do what need to clean out some of this foliage that's now spilling into here. That will increase our water flow too. I love that. That was a great idea. So thank you for leaving that idea in the comments. I do think it just added a little bit here. Just added something a little special. There we go. And thankfully it didn't add flooding, because that was my main concern, is that we add these sorts of features and now we get lots of flooding. But alas, we are fine. We are fine. We do need some more grasses though, or rough foliage on the bottom here to clean up, maintain the aesthetic that we've created. There we go. So I think that that's a lot better. And it at least creates some visual interest, and you figure that that's what they would need and want in this area. This is really a utilitarian thing. We have this river because we must drain, or I'm going to constantly need to turn these on and off. So we're just dumping fresh water into the ocean because it's I guess what you do when you have a whole bunch of money. I don't know. So here we are with our new Sterling Estates. Got some landscaping. We could certainly go through and do a little bit more, especially in between these homes. But I think that we've given them enough attention in this area. Karen's unhappy. Well, there's a couple things that she's unhappy about. Number one, we've got a whole bunch of queuing over here. We didn't add landscaping back here. She's yelling at her consultant, saying, "What are you guys doing? You're keeping the view of this. We need a dense buffer of landscaping." Keeps all the ruffians out, I guess, except that there's a path connection here. And that's something that I mentioned maybe fixing, but I think I'm going to leave it. All right, so let's take a look at all of our bus lines, and that's kind of where I think we need to look. We've got an extra 300 passengers a day now. Not surprising, some of these routes are really, really busy. So all of our Sterling Estates routes are just kind of really blowing up. So let's start out at the top. We'll go with Sterling Tech. We looked at that one. The office park. This one's actually okay. And I think that the number of buses that we have lines up really well. We don't have a lot of queuing, so I'm pleased with that one. We'll move on to the South Shuttle. This one is more problematic. So we've got queuing at both ends. So what I think we're going to do is crank this one. 133 worked for the last one. So I'm going to do that here as well. It'll take a little while to clear out. In fact, we just take it up to 144. We'll get an extra 5 buses here. And hopefully that'll be enough to clear this out. Oh, we've got another 300 here. We're going to need more. We're going to double it. So there will be a lot of vehicles heading down here. And truthfully, I think we're going to call one mulligan. Even though the Myrtles are being very helpful, I really think that we need to bring this over here if we have any dream of this being successful. So one quick mulligan, bringing this bus facility over here, hopefully to get these buses through here quickly without circulating through and really ruining everything through this area. The other thing is we have this one little strip of one-lane road heading into here, and that is kind of backing everything up. So this should help quite a bit. Truthfully, I might just make that a bus. No, we're going to go back on that. We will keep this a normal road. There's probably some value in evaluating the rest of these to see if we need upgrades. This is probably good enough. Actually, I'm going back one more time, and I'm going to actually make this a 6-lane arterial. So I'm using this outside bus lane as kind of a queue jump, so if this backs up here, they'll be able to merge in front and get in front of all of those cars that aren't really there. But it's fine. It's fine. Okay, so at least our buses, we have 83 buses in use here, and they're all popping out here and heading straight down here, and it seems to be working effectively for the time being. What's the problem is, again, this has doubled the utilization of this ground island platform, so that is one of our primary challenges it's one of our constraints that we're working with. So we've dramatically increased the number of buses here. It is reducing the number of passengers waiting right here, so we're going to need to just wait on that particular route. Next, we'll look at the North Shuttle. And this one's doing okay. This one's holding up. This one's at 155%, 25 vehicles. And that kind of makes me wonder if that's maybe not the sweet spot for the other route as well. So we got 28 on here now. So that might be that mode might be where we need to be. So next one, the central shuttle. This one is not as long of a route, but we have backing up at a number of stations. We're gonna crank this one too to about 200%, maybe a little beyond, just so we get to 15 vehicles. I like round number. It's not a round number. I like to have intervals of 5. That's just personal preference and a weird tick, so I'll just go with it. The 28 one, I had to do everything in my power not to round it up to 30. So here we go, and I think that we're going to ultimately just need to let this go and frequently check back at it until we get it right. There's lots of backing up. It's really kind of an unfortunate situation that will hopefully resolve itself after all these new vehicles leave, but it is messy for the time being. You can also see value in having a turnaround. So I might add a turnaround back here. Okay, so the idea here is that they'll come around this turnaround rather than getting stuck at the end, and hopefully that'll speed things up just a little bit. Then we need to add our pedestrian facility back. We definitely demolished a house for this. So we thank you for your house, and I'm deeply sorry that we had to do this. It's one of those days. One of those days where we are taking out everyone's home, the betterment of the private city. So, but I do think that this is an important change, and we can really make this feel special. Just a couple of these. There we go. That's a special turnaround now. So yeah, I think this does the trick here. Loops the vehicle's background. I think I'm going to do one more thing, and that is upgrade this. So now at least it has some sort of continuity there. It feels a little more balanced anyway. I don't think it actually does anything, but I like it. It makes me feel good, so we're going to go with it. So yeah, the other thing that would really probably help here would be some sort of pedestrian overpass. That's going to be a real difficult thing to accomplish, though. And what you see now is pedestrians just kind of crossing in the middle of the road here. This is an interesting thing to point out. Anytime there is a junction, it's a legal crossing, at least in most parts of the U.S. So if there's a pedestrian present, they're able to cross legally, marked or unmarked. So this would be a legal crossing here and here. So they can do this. And the buses might be irritated by it, but it's okay. They're able to do that. So no big problem with this, except that in the game, it's pretty ugly watching a whole bunch of people get careened by buses. I wouldn't call it attractive or realistic or, ooh, ow. Not great. This is a little bumpy here. They're going up a pretty steep slope here. That is going to be a real bear to fix without mods, so I think we're going to live with that one. I didn't see it and you didn't either. Yeah, nothing we can do to fix that one, unfortunately. So let's do one last land value check. We'll see how upset Karen is with us. Oh, she is going off. we did not get anywhere near where she wanted to be, but it's a suburban area. This is still a very valuable suburban area. In fact, when we compare it to its neighbor, it's nearly twice as valuable. Well, not twice, but it's about this area is only about 2/3 as valuable as this one. So I would say that the Karen's done a good job of maintaining values in a pretty large area. We've got Silver Lake Park now at 5 stars. We're gonna stop advertising it because we don't want people from the outside coming in. And in general, I think that this is a very, for what it is the exact neighborhood that she was hoping it would be. Her lifelong dream has come true. She didn't get exactly what she wanted, but it's in a pretty good place. And when we take a look at these buildings, you can see that we're mostly maxed out. We've got some residential buildings that could go and be a bit higher, but we're pretty good. We'll do one last check of all of our city services to make sure we're well covered here, because that's the other thing. There are minor things that we could improve. It looks like we could have one more clinic. Maybe we'll even add one. Right here off this road, our death care. We'll have one of those over here too, so you can go golfing and enjoy the view of the back of the death care. Crematorium. There we go. That was a real utilitarian move right there. I think it's a good one. So that should improve things. Our child healthcare, not good. And we're probably not going to be able to do a ton to improve that. Elder care, again, we've got one. That's something. It's not great. Our fire coverage, this one actually we need to fix. Not just because it's Verde Beach, but because this one impacts our land values considerably. This is also one that would very much irritate people to live close to a firehouse, but you're only irritated until your house is on fire, then you're thankful. So we're gonna preemptively make them. They'll deal with it. Just deal with it. And then with all this new landscaping, we probably should have a watchtower in here as well, if not a couple of them. So again, it's not perfect coverage, but it's better. Police coverage, it's kind of the same areas. It's the usual suspects in here. So we're going to go through, use some eminent domain, and get some police coverage. And I think the neighborhood's on board for that. They're looking to be safe. And then our school coverage, again, we've got a couple spots with issues. So I think we're going to go through and add just a couple of schools in. So very high density of schools. For high school coverage, same story. So we're going to add in probably 2 more high schools, which is just kind of an insane number of high schools if you think about it, but it's what the game is demanding of us. So we're going to appease the city Skylines gods. And they are desperately trying to make me put this in a place I don't want to put it. I really don't even, this is going to block the views of the coast. I don't want to do that either. I'll deal with this kind of kooky layout there. Then we need one way over here. This is pretty far removed from the rest of the city, so we're again going to be okay with a bit of eminent domain. It's the name of the game today, eminent domain. And then lastly, we could definitely use more library coverage. That would be another thing. This is one of those policies that I believe we have the library policy on, where it increases the happiness of the surrounding area by having a library. And increased happiness equates to increased land values. But these are huge buildings, and I wish that they weren't so big. We're going to have to leave this one out. So let's see what that did. Oh, look at that. Our land value jumped up another 4 cells. So we're almost to 80. That means that this is one of the more valuable neighborhoods in the entire city, and it will only improve. When we look, it's because these schools are empty. That's how great would that be? Think of the student to teacher ratio. It's excellent here. So we are in a good spot in this neighborhood, and I think we're going to leave it here. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification icon if you want to be notified when I release new videos. And I will see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.